The night my parents kicked me out, it was raining. The Seattle kind of rain, constant, relentless, like the sky was crying for you because you had no tears left. My name is Jennifer Hayes. 27 years old then, 32 now. And that November night changed everything. I grew up in a house in the Seattle suburbs, Maple Valley, to be exact. The kind of neighborhood where everyone knows everyone, where kids ride bikes in the streets without fear, where lawns are always well kept and families look perfect from the outside. But inside my house, there were cracks no one saw. My father, Robert Hayes, was a bank manager. Controlling, rigid, obsessed with appearances and reputation. My mother, Susan, was an elementary school teacher, kind but weak. She never contradicted my father. Never. I had an older brother. Michael. 5 years older than me. He was my hero when I was a kid. Funny, charismatic, the kind of guy who lit up any room. But when he turned 19, something changed. He started pulling away. Going out at night and coming back different. Glassy eyes. Erratic behavior. Drugs. Started with weed, escalated to worse things. My father tried to control it, imposed increasingly strict rules. But the tighter he squeezed, the more Michael pulled away. Until one night, Michael simply disappeared. Took some clothes, some money, and left. I was 17. We never heard from him again. Not a call. Not a message. Like he'd been erased from our family. My father became obsessed. Obsessed with control. Obsessed with making sure I didn't follow the same path. He established rules. So many rules. Curfews. Places I could go. People I could see. He checked my phone, my bank account, my GPS. I endured it because I thought it was love. Protection. Temporary. But when I turned 22, graduated college, and got my first job, graphic designer at a small agency, I thought I'd finally have freedom. Wrong. My father wanted me to live at home. To save money, he said. But really it was to control me. He established a curfew, 10 p.m. on weekdays, midnight on weekends. At 22 years old, I started rebelling. Small things at first, arriving 15 minutes late, forgetting to call. Then bigger things, spending the night at friends' houses without warning, going out with guys he disapproved of. The fights got worse. Screaming. Doors slamming. My mother crying, but never taking sides. And then came that night. November, 5 years ago. I'd gone out with friends. Nothing major, just drinks at a bar downtown. I lost track of time. When I checked my phone, it was 2 in the morning and I had 17 missed calls from my father. I drove home with my stomach churning, knowing there'd be a scene. But I didn't expect what I found. When I opened the front door, my father stood in the living room, my mother sitting on the couch, pale and silent. He was holding a suitcase, my suitcase, already packed. Where were you? His voice was ice cold. Controlled. Somehow that was worse than yelling. I went out with friends. Lost track of time. Sorry, 2:30 in the morning. You think that's acceptable? Dad, I'm 22 years old. You live in MY house. Under MY roof. My rules. Your rules are ridiculous. I'm an adult. You're acting exactly like your brother. The words hit me like a punch. I'm not. I went out for a few beers with friends. Not. It starts like this. It always starts like this. Small lies. Small rebellions. And then you're lost, thrown away, destroyed like him. Michael isn't destroyed, Michael is dead to me. Silence fell like a bomb. My father took a deep breath, composing himself. You have 2 choices. Follow my rules, no questions asked, or leave my house right now. Robert, please. My mother finally spoke, but he silenced her with a look. Now, Jennifer. Decide now. I looked at my mother, hoping she'd say something. Defend me. Stop this madness. She looked away, and something in me broke. Then I'm leaving. My father pushed the suitcase toward me. Great. Go be independent. Go find out what the real world is like without Daddy's money supporting you. You already packed my bag? Were you waiting for an excuse to kick me out? I was waiting for you to prove you're not like him. You failed. Tears started falling, but I wouldn't let him see me crumble. I grabbed the suitcase and walked to the door. Jennifer, my mother stood, but my father held her back. If you walk out that door, don't come back. Ever. I stopped. Looked back one last time. Okay. And I walked out into the rain. My car was a beat-up Honda Civic I'd bought with my first paycheck. It smelled like old coffee and had a crack in the windshield I couldn't afford to fix. I threw my suitcase in the back seat and got in, slamming the door. Rain pounded on the roof, so loud I could barely hear myself think. Which was maybe good. Because if I thought too hard about what just happened, I'd fall apart completely. I turned the key. The engine sputtered, then caught. I backed out of the driveway without looking at the house. My phone buzzed. A text from my mother. I'm sorry. Please be safe. Not, come back. Not, I'll talk to your father. Just sorry and be safe. I threw the phone on the passenger seat and drove. Seattle at 2:30 in the morning is a different city. Empty streets, closed storefronts, the occasional homeless person huddled in a doorway. Rain made everything look blurry, unreal. I had nowhere to go. My friends all lived with roommates in tiny apartments. I couldn't show up at someone's door at 3 a.m. with a suitcase and a sob story. I had $300 in my checking account. My next paycheck wasn't for another week. I drove to a 24-hour diner on Aurora Avenue. Parked in the lot, engine running for heat, and just sat there. The rain kept falling. My phone kept buzzing. My mother, calling now. I ignored it. Around 4 a.m., I moved to a Walmart parking lot. Safer. More people around, even at night. I reclined the seat as far as it would go, pulled my jacket over me like a blanket, and tried to sleep. I couldn't. Every sound made me jump. Every set of headlights made me think it was my father, coming to, what? Apologize? Drag me home? Tell me I'd made my point? But he didn't come. No one did. I watched the sun rise through my rain-streaked windshield, feeling more alone than I'd ever felt in my life. I stayed in Seattle for 3 more days. Slept in my car, showered at a gym where I bought a day pass. Went to work at the design agency like everything was normal. But it wasn't normal. My coworkers noticed I looked tired, distracted. My boss pulled me aside and asked if everything was okay. I lied and said yes. On the 4th day, I made a decision. I couldn't stay in Seattle. Every street, every building reminded me of my family, of what I'd lost. I needed to start over. Completely over. I researched cities with low cost of living and good job markets. Denver kept coming up. Colorado. Mountains. A fresh start. I gave my 2 weeks' notice at the agency. Sold everything I owned that wouldn't fit in my car. Broke my lease by paying a penalty I couldn't afford. And 2 weeks later, I drove east. The drive took 20 hours. I did it in 2 days, stopping to sleep at a rest area in Wyoming where the wind howled and I questioned every decision I'd ever made. But I kept driving. Denver greeted me with blue skies and thin air that made me lightheaded. It was November, but warmer than Seattle. Drier. Different. I found a hostel that charged $20 a night. Shared a room with 3 other women, an Australian backpacker, a college dropout from Texas, and a woman in her 40s who didn't talk about why she was there. I spent my days looking for work and apartments. Denver was more expensive than I'd expected. My savings were evaporating. After 2 weeks, I was down to my last $100 when I saw a help wanted sign in the window of a coffee shop in the Capitol Hill neighborhood. The place was called Grounded, intentionally lowercase, very hipster. Exposed brick, mismatched furniture, local art on the walls. The kind of place that served oat milk lattes and played indie music. I went in. The owner was a woman in her 30s with sleeve tattoos and a nose ring. Her name was Mia. You ever worked in coffee before? No. But I'm a fast learner and I really need this job. She looked me up and down. You're not from here. Seattle. Just moved. Running from something or running to something? The question surprised me. I answered honestly. Both. She smiled. Okay. You start tomorrow. 7 a.m. $9 an hour plus tips. Thank you. Thank you so much. Don't thank me yet. Morning rush is hell. She wasn't wrong. But I didn't care. I had a job. Mia also had a spare room in her apartment. Her previous roommate had just moved out. $400 a month plus utilities. It was more than I wanted to spend, but I was out of options. Deal. That night, I moved into a small room with a futon, a dresser, and a window overlooking a fire escape. It was the smallest space I'd ever lived in. It was perfect. The first few months in Denver were brutal. I worked at Grounded 6 days a week, 8-hour shifts on my feet, making cappuccinos and cleaning espresso machines. My hands were constantly burned from steaming milk. My feet ached so badly I'd cry when I took off my shoes at night. The customers were a mix. Some were kind, tipped well, learned my name. Others were entitled, demanding, treated me like I was invisible. I smiled through all of it. Because I needed this job. I needed to survive. Mia became more than a boss and roommate. She became a friend. She was the first person I told about my family, about being kicked out. She listened without judgment. Then she told me her story. She'd been disowned by her conservative parents when she came out as gay at 19. Hadn't spoken to them in 12 years. Built her entire life from nothing. We're the same, you and me. The ones who got thrown away. But we didn't stay thrown away, did we? No, we didn't. At night, after work, I was too exhausted to do anything but collapse. But I couldn't stop thinking about the future. I'd studied graphic design in college. I was good at it. But my portfolio was thin, and I had no connections in Denver. So I started building a new portfolio. Free work for local businesses, redesigning menus for restaurants, making flyers for community events, creating social media graphics for nonprofits. Mia let me do the branding for Grounded. New logo, new menu design, Instagram strategy. Within 2 months, the shop's social media following tripled. Sales went up. You've got a gift, Mia said. Don't waste it making coffee forever. But I didn't know how to turn design into a real career. I didn't have the money for more education. Didn't have the connections to break into the industry. Then Mia suggested something. There's a community college near here. They have a digital marketing certificate program. 8 months. Part-time. You could do it while working. I can't afford it. Check if they have financial aid. Scholarships. Payment plans. You'll figure it out. She was right. I applied, got some financial aid, and started classes that January. I worked at Grounded from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. Went to classes from 3 to 6 p.m. Did homework until midnight. Slept 5 hours. Repeated. It was the hardest thing I'd ever done. There were nights I'd sit on my futon, staring at my laptop, too exhausted to form coherent thoughts, wondering why I was punishing myself like this. But then I'd remember my father's face that night. His certainty that I would fail. his conviction that without him, I was nothing, and I'd keep working. By summer, I'd completed the certificate. By fall, I'd started freelancing on the side. Small clients, small projects, but I was building something. By the following spring, 2 years after leaving Seattle, I quit grounding to freelance full-time. Mia threw me a going-away party. Well, not going away. Just moving on. You're going to do amazing things. I couldn't have done this without you. Yes, you could have. You just didn't know it yet. Freelancing was feast or famine. Some months I'd have more work than I could handle. Other months, I'd panic about making rent. But slowly, steadily, I built a reputation. Word of mouth brought new clients. My portfolio grew stronger. I raised my rates. By year 3 in Denver, I was making more than I'd ever made in Seattle. That's when I met Ethan Collins. He came into a coffee shop where I was working, not grounded, a different place downtown. I was there meeting a client, laptop open, showing them website mock-ups. Ethan was in line behind us. I didn't notice him until after my client left and he approached my table. Sorry to interrupt. I couldn't help but overhear. You're a designer? Yeah. Freelance. He handed me a business card. Ethan Collins, CEO, Summit Digital Solutions. We're a startup. Marketing and web development for small businesses. I've been looking for a creative director, but everyone I interview wants Silicon Valley salaries. You interested? I don't have much corporate experience. I don't want corporate. I want someone hungry. Someone who understands what it's like to build something from nothing. He was offering $45,000 a year. Benefits. Equity. A real job with a real future. I accepted on the spot. Summit Digital was small. Just Ethan and 3 other employees working out of a shared office space in Reno, the River North Art District. Very startup. Very Denver. Standing desks, cold brew on tap, a company dog named Pixel. I was terrified I'd be out of my depth. But Ethan believed in me. Gave me projects, trusted my instincts, let me hire a small team as we grew. Within a year, we'd doubled our client base. Within 2 years, we'd moved to a real office. Within 3 years, I was creative director with a team of 8 designers and a salary I'd never imagined making. I bought a condo. Not huge, but mine. With a view of the mountains and a parking spot and furniture that wasn't from Craigslist. I traveled. Took vacations. Made friends. Dated. Built a life. And every month, I transferred money into a savings account I labeled Future. I didn't know what that future looked like, but I was building toward it. 5 years after being kicked out, I was successful. Happy, even. My parents had been wrong about everything. I hadn't spoken to my parents in 5 years. Not a single word. For the first year, my mother called every week. Left voicemails I didn't listen to. Sent texts I didn't read. Eventually, she stopped. My father never reached out. Not once. I told myself I didn't care. That I was better off without them. That their rejection had freed me to become who I was meant to be. And mostly I believed it. But there were moments. Holidays, mostly. Seeing other people with their families. Wondering if Michael was alive somewhere, if he ever thought about me. I dated a few people in Denver. Nothing serious. I had a tendency to sabotage things when they got too close. Trust issues, my therapist said. No shit, I'd replied. It was early December, 5 years and 1 month after leaving Seattle, when my phone rang with an unfamiliar number. Washington area code. I almost didn't answer, but something made me. Hello. A woman's voice, shaky and tearful. Jennifer. It's me. My mother. I hadn't heard her voice in 5 years. How did you get this number? I I hired someone. I'm sorry. I know you don't want to talk to us. But Jennifer, it's your father. He's sick. My stomach dropped. Sick how? Cancer. Pancreatic. They caught it late. He doesn't have long. Months, maybe. I sat down on my couch, my mind racing. Why are you telling me this? Because he wants to see you. He won't say it, but I know he does. And I want to see you. Please. Jennifer. Come home. Home. The word felt foreign. I haven't been home in 5 years. You kicked me out. I know. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have stopped him. I should have. But you didn't. Silence. Jennifer, I know I failed you. Your father and I both did. But he's dying. And I don't want you to live with regret. What about his regret? Does he regret kicking me out? Telling me I was like Michael? Treating me like I was disposable? I don't know. He won't talk about it. You know how he is. Yeah, I do. Will you come? Please. I need to think about it. Okay. But Jennifer, don't wait too long. He doesn't have much time. She gave me their address, same house, same street where I'd grown up, and hung up. I sat there for a long time, staring at nothing. Ethan found me like that an hour later. He'd stopped by to drop off some files and I'd left the door unlocked. You okay? My father's dying. I told him everything. The expulsion, the 5 years of silence, my mother's call. What are you going to do? I don't know. Part of me wants to tell him to go to hell. Let him die without closure. Give him what he gave me. And the other part wants to know if he's sorry. If any of it meant something. If he ever loved me at all. Ethan sat beside me. You don't owe him anything. But you might owe yourself something. Closure. Answers. The chance to say what you need to say. What if he's not sorry? What if he's still the same controlling, judgmental asshole? Then you'll know. And you can walk away knowing you tried. I booked a flight to Seattle 2 days later. Told my team I'd be working remotely for a week or two. Packed a bag. Tried not to think too hard about what I was doing. The flight was short. 2.5 hours. I stared out the window the entire time, watching Colorado disappear behind me and Washington appear below, green and gray and familiar. I rented a car at the airport. Drove toward Maple Valley. Every mile felt heavier. The neighborhood looked exactly the same. Same houses. Same trees. Same church on the corner with the white steeple. I pulled up to my childhood home and just sat in the car, engine running. The house looked smaller than I remembered. The paint was peeling. The lawn needed work. The tree in the front yard, the one Michael and I used to climb, was gone. Just a stump remained. I turned off the engine. Grabbed the flowers I'd bought at the airport, because showing up empty-handed felt wrong, even though I didn't know why I cared. Walked up to the door. Rang the bell. My mother answered. She'd aged. More gray hair, deeper lines around her eyes. She looked tired. Worn. Jennifer. She burst into tears and pulled me into a hug. I stood stiffly, not hugging back. You came. I wasn't sure you would. Neither was I. She ushered me inside. The house smelled the same, that specific combination of my mother's lavender candles and my father's coffee. The living room was unchanged. Same couch. Same photos on the walls. Me and Michael as kids, school photos, family vacations. Except all the photos of Michael were gone. Like he'd been erased. Where's Dad? Upstairs. Resting. He has good days and bad days. Today's been hard. I set the flowers on the coffee table. Can I see him? My mother hesitated. Jennifer, you need to know. He looks different. The cancer, the treatment, it's been hard on him. I didn't come here expecting him to look good. She led me upstairs. The steps creaked the same way they always had. My old bedroom door was closed. Michael's was open, converted into an office now, all traces of him gone. My parents' bedroom was at the end of the hall. My mother knocked softly. Robert, Jennifer's here. A weak voice from inside. Send her in. My mother looked at me. I nodded. She opened the door and stepped aside. My father was in bed, propped up on pillows. He'd lost at least 40 pounds. His skin was gray. His eyes, once so sharp and intimidating, were sunken and dim. But his expression when he saw me was the same. Pride mixed with something I couldn't read. Jennifer, you came. I came. I stayed in the doorway, didn't approach the bed. He studied me for a long moment. You look good. Successful. I am. Your mother said you're in Denver, working in tech. Creative director for a marketing startup. Impressive. Is it? You told me I'd fail without you. His jaw tightened. For a moment, I saw a flash of the old anger. But then it faded. He was too weak to maintain it. I was wrong. The words hung in the air. I'd waited 5 years to hear them. But now that they'd come, they felt hollow. That's it. You were wrong. What do you want me to say? That you're sorry. That kicking me out was cruel. That treating me like I was defective because I wanted independence was wrong. I did what I thought was right. Protecting me by destroying me? That was right. I lost your brother. I couldn't lose you too. So you pushed me away first. That makes sense. He closed his eyes. When he opened them, they were wet. Every day, I wonder where Michael is. If he's alive. If he's suffering. If he thinks about us. He paused. I couldn't go through that again. So I tried to control you. Keep you safe. Keep you close. By setting impossible rules. By treating me like a prisoner. By being your father. That's not what fathers do. Fathers trust. Fathers let go. My father was silent for a long time. I don't know how to let go. I never learned. Then you should have learned. Before you destroyed your relationship with both your children. He looked at me with something like surprise. You're angry. Of course I'm angry. You kicked me out in the rain with one suitcase and told me never to come back. You chose control over love. And now you're dying and you want, what? Forgiveness. Closure. I want you to know I'm proud of you. That you proved me wrong. That you're stronger than I ever was. Tears were running down his face now. And I'm sorry. God, Jennifer, I'm so sorry. For everything. I stood there, frozen. Part of me wanted to go to him, hug him, tell him it was okay. The other part wanted to turn around and leave. Let him die with his apology unanswered. My mother appeared in the doorway. Dinner's ready. If you're hungry. I need some air first. I went downstairs, out the back door, into the yard. I sat on the back porch steps, where I used to sit as a kid. The yard was overgrown. The swing set Michael and I had played on was gone. My mother came out 10 minutes later, holding 2 mugs of tea. Handed me one and sat beside me. He means it. The apology doesn't make it hurt less. I know. We sat in silence for a while. Finally, she spoke. I need to tell you something about why your father is the way he is. I know about Michael, about his fear of losing me the same way. There's more. I looked at her. She was staring at her tea, not meeting my eyes. Your father's older brother, your Uncle David, died of an overdose when your father was 21. They were close. David was the golden child, the successful one. And then drugs took him. I never knew Dad had a brother. He doesn't talk about it. Ever. After David died, your father's parents blamed themselves. The guilt destroyed them. His mother had a breakdown. His father became an alcoholic. The family fell apart. My mother finally looked at me. When Michael started using, your father saw David all over again. He tried so hard to save him. But he didn't know how. So he tried to control him instead. And it pushed Michael away. And then he did the same thing to me. Yes. He was so terrified of losing you that he held on too tight. And he lost you anyway. That doesn't excuse what he did. No, it doesn't. But maybe it explains it. She reached for my hand. I let her take it. I failed you too. I should have stood up to him. Should have defended you. But I was scared. Scared of him. Scared of conflict. Scared of being alone. You were alone anyway. Both of us were. I know. And I'm sorry. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I need you to know that I never stopped loving you. Never stopped thinking about you. If you loved me, you would have called, visited, done something other than text occasionally for the first year. Your father wouldn't let me. He said if you wanted to crawl back, you could. But we weren't to reach out. And you listened to him. Like always. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. I'm weak. I always have been. But Jennifer, I'm trying now. I'm telling you the truth now. That has to count for something. I stayed in Seattle for a week. Spent time with my mother. Visited my father daily, though our conversations were stilted and painful. He was too proud to grovel, and I was too hurt to make it easy for him. On the fourth day, I told them about my life in Denver. My job, my condo, my friends. How I'd built everything from nothing. My father listened without interrupting. When I finished, he said, "You did it without me." It wasn't a question. Yeah, I did. Good. That's good. On the sixth day, my mother and I were cleaning out the garage. She'd asked for help organizing, and I needed something to do, when we found boxes labeled Michael. She tried to hide them, but I'd already seen. What are those? Just old things. From Michael? I thought you got rid of everything. Your father wanted to. I couldn't. She opened one box. Inside, Michael's high school yearbooks, trophies from track meets, photo albums. I flipped through one album. Michael at various ages. Michael and me as kids, arms around each other, grinning at the camera. I miss him. Me too. Every day. Do you think he's alive? My mother was quiet for a long time. I don't know. I hope so. But I think, if he was, he would have reached out by now. At least to you. Maybe he doesn't know how. Or maybe he's too ashamed. Maybe he thinks we wouldn't want to hear from him. Would you? In a heartbeat. We sat there surrounded by Michael's abandoned life, crying together. That night, I made a decision. I pulled up my laptop and created a social media post. Posted it everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. A photo of Michael and me. As teenagers, arms around each other. The caption, "If you know Michael Hayes, or if you are Michael Hayes, please reach out. Your family misses you. Your sister misses you. It's never too late to come home." I tagged it with every relevant location, every relevant group. Made it public. My mother saw it the next morning and sobbed. What if he doesn't see it? Then at least we tried. On my last day in Seattle, I did something I hadn't planned. I went to a real estate office and asked about properties in the area. Small houses, affordable, good neighborhoods. The agent showed me listings on her computer. What's your budget? Let's say 300,000. Maybe a bit more. I found one I liked. A small craftsman in a neighborhood 30 minutes from Maple Valley. 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, fenced yard. I made an offer that day. All cash. From my future savings account. The offer was accepted within hours. I drove back to my parents' house and found my mother in the kitchen, making dinner. I bought a house. She looked up, confused. What? Here. In Seattle. Well. Renton. About 30 minutes away. I don't understand. I handed her a printout of the listing. It's for you. When Dad, after. You'll need somewhere smaller. Easier to maintain. Closer to me. My mother's hands shook as she looked at the printout. Jennifer, I can't accept this. Yeah, you can. Consider it back rent for the 22 years you took care of me. But this is too much, Mom. Let me do this. Please. She collapsed into a chair and cried. I sat beside her and let her. When she finally composed herself, she said, Does this mean you forgive us? I don't know. Maybe. Someday. But it means I don't want to lose any more time. Life's too short. Dad's dying proves that. We told my father that evening. I expected him to be proud. Or maybe suspicious. Instead, he just looked at me and said, You're a better person than I deserve. Yeah, I am. But he smiled. A real smile, maybe the first genuine one I'd seen from him since I was a kid. A week later, my mother called. My father had passed away in his sleep. Peacefully, she said. I flew back for the funeral. It was small. A few of his old colleagues, some neighbors, my mother and me. No Michael. But I hadn't expected him. At the burial, my mother held my hand and cried. I cried too. Not for my father exactly, but for what could have been. For the relationship we never had. After the service, one of my father's old friends approached me. Your father talked about you a lot in the last few weeks. Said you'd done something remarkable with your life. That he was proud. He never told me that. He should have. But he wasn't good at saying things out loud. That evening, back at the house, my mother and I sat on the porch with tea. What now? Now we figure out how to be a family. You and me. On our terms. I'd like that. And we keep looking for Michael. We don't give up. Never. 3 weeks later, I helped my mother move into the new house. It was bright, updated, manageable. She loved it. She set up her bedroom and the spare room. For when you visit, she said. And for when Michael comes home, I added. She smiled. Yes, for that too. I flew back to Denver the next day, but something had shifted. Seattle didn't feel like enemy territory anymore. It felt like a place I could come back to. 2 months after that, I got a message on Instagram. From an account I didn't recognize. Is this Jennifer Hayes? Robert and Susan's daughter. My heart stopped. Yes. Who's this? This is Michael. Your brother. I saw your post. Can we talk? I called my mother immediately. She screamed. Actually screamed. Michael was alive. He was in Portland, Oregon. Sober for 3 years. Working as a carpenter. He'd seen my post and spent weeks debating whether to reach out. I flew to Portland that weekend. Met him at a coffee shop. He looked older, tired, but clean. Healthy. We sat across from each other, not knowing where to start. Finally, he said, I'm sorry. For everything. For leaving. for disappearing. I'm just glad you're alive. We talked for 4 hours. He told me about his years on the streets, rehab, relapses, finally getting sober. About the shame that kept him from coming home. I told him about being kicked out, rebuilding in Denver, Dad's death. He cried when I told him Dad had died. I wanted to make things right before. I was waiting until I had my life together. You have your life together now. And Mom's waiting. That Thanksgiving, the first Thanksgiving in 6 years, Michael and I drove to Seattle together. Mom met us on the porch. When she saw Michael, she collapsed. We caught her. The three of us stood there, holding each other, crying. Inside, the table was set. Turkey, stuffing, all the traditional dishes. We sat down together. A family. Broken and repair. Not perfect, but real. My mother held both our hands and said a prayer. Her voice shook with emotion. Thank you for bringing my children home. Both of them. After dinner, Michael and I sat on the back porch steps, the same place where Mom and I had talked months before. I'm proud of you. For getting clean. For coming back. He stared at his hands. I thought about calling so many times. Every birthday, every Christmas. But I was so ashamed. I didn't think I deserved to be part of this family anymore. Dad felt the same way at the end. Shame. Regret. He waited too long to fix things. Michael looked at me. But you didn't. You came back even though you didn't have to. You bought Mom a house. You found me. Why? Because I learned something Dad never did. That love isn't about control. It's about showing up. Even when it's hard. Even when you're angry. You show up anyway. He put his arm around me, and I leaned into him like I used to when we were kids. I missed you, little sister. I missed you too. Inside, through the window, we could see Mom cleaning up, humming to herself. For the first time in years, she looked genuinely happy. 6 months later, I moved back to Seattle. Not permanently. I kept my condo in Denver, kept my job with Summit Digital. Ethan let me work remotely 3 weeks a month. But I rented an apartment 10 minutes from Mom's house. Close enough to be there when she needed me. Michael was rebuilding his relationship with her too. Weekly dinners. Phone calls. Slowly learning to be a family again. One Saturday, the three of us drove to the cemetery where Dad was buried. Mom brought flowers. Michael brought a letter he'd written but never sent. I brought a framed photo, me on the day I bought Mom's house, holding the keys, smiling. I set it beside the headstone. I did it, Dad. Without you. But I'm realizing, maybe some of my strength came from you after all. The stubbornness. The determination. The refusal to quit. Michael placed his letter on the grave. I'm sober, Dad. 3 years. I wish you were here to see it. But I think you know. Mom knelt and arranged the flowers. I'm okay, Robert. The kids came home. Not the way you wanted. Not because of your control. But because they chose to. Because love won. We stood there together as the sun set behind us, 3 people who'd been broken and scattered, now standing whole. 1 year after my father's death, Mom hosted Thanksgiving again. This time, the table was bigger. Michael brought his girlfriend, Emma. I brought someone too, Daniel, a guy I'd been seeing for 6 months who made me laugh and didn't run when I told him my family history. Ethan and Mia flew in from Denver and Colorado. Found family, I called them. As we sat down to eat, Mom raised her glass. A toast. To second chances. To my children, who taught me that it's never too late to choose love. To family, the one we're born into and the one we build. We all raised our glasses. To family. After dinner, I found myself alone in the kitchen, washing dishes. Mom came in, picked up a towel to dry. You know what I'm most grateful for? What? That you're stubborn. Just like your father. I laughed. I'll take that as a compliment. It is. Your stubbornness kept you alive when he kicked you out, kept you fighting when you had nothing, brought you back when you could have stayed away forever. She set down a dried plate and looked at me. You saved this family, Jennifer. Not me. You. We saved each other, Mom. Outside, I could hear laughter. Michael telling some story, Emma giggling, Daniel's deep voice joining in. I looked around the kitchen, the same kitchen where I'd had my last fight with Dad, where everything had fallen apart. But now it was different, full of warmth and noise and life. Sometimes you have to leave home to find your way back. Sometimes you have to lose everything to understand what really matters. I learned that the hard way. In the rain, in that car, with one suitcase and $300. But I learned it. And it made all the difference. My name is Jennifer Hayes, 32 years old. Creative director. Daughter. Sister. Friend. The girl my father kicked out in the rain. The woman who proved him wrong. And the person who learned that the strongest act of love is showing up, even when everything inside you says to run. I walked back into the dining room, where my family, all of them blood and chosen, were waiting. And I sat down at the table, finally home. This story is dedicated to everyone who's been told they'd fail. To the children rejected by their parents. To the people who rebuilt themselves from nothing. To anyone who's ever had to choose between bitterness and forgiveness. You are stronger than you know. Your worth isn't determined by who couldn't see it. And it's never too late to come home, if you choose.